Hello everyone, happy Friday. So today is the third day in our series on Stoicism, or what's becoming our series on Stoicism. I'd like to thank everybody who's been watching these videos and commenting. I really appreciate the feedback. So I do have some more questions that have been sent to me that I'll go over in the future, but I don't want to drift off track and forget the commitment I made to read some excerpts from Epictetus and Seneca. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with that today and give you guys some of the excerpts from Seneca that I recorded to my blog in 2015. So just like the first video, these are not in any particular order, and they weren't selected specifically for any kind of current events. I hope that if you've watched all the videos in order and you watched my last video talking about the role of emotions and emotional control in Stoicism, that some of these quotes actually might reveal some deeper aspects of that practice or give you ideas about how it could be applied or the point of view of someone who's applying them. Epictetus is different than Marcus Aurelius in style, but also in his commitment to Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius was first and foremost the emperor of Rome, and he was a student of philosophy and certainly a practitioner, but he was not primarily a teacher of philosophy. And while Epictetus began his journey in philosophy as a slave, although he wasn't born a slave, but he began his journey in philosophy as a slave, he was freed and did become a Stoic teacher eventually. So they also have different starting points for how they frame things. Epictetus, these selections from Epictetus are also recorded by one of his students who wrote down notes from his lectures, whereas Marcus Aurelius's the meditations, or what's called the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, are really fragments of essentially his diary. So the type of document they're coming from is different as well. Anyway, I hope you find them useful and or at least a pleasant distraction. Okay, so here goes. All things obey and serve the universe, both earth and sea, and the sun, and the other stars, and the plants and animals of the earth. Our body likewise obeys it, both in sickness and health, when the universe wills, and when young and old, and as it passes through all other changes. It is therefore reasonable also that what depends on ourselves, that is to say our judgment, should not be the only thing to strive against it, for the universe is powerful and superior to ourselves, and has taken better counsel on our behalf than we can, by embracing us too in its governance in conjunction with the whole. Moreover, to act against it is to align ourselves with unreason, and achieving nothing but futile harassment embroils us in pains and sorrows. Some things are up to us, and others are not. Up to us are opinion, impulse, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is our own action. Not up to us are body, property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not our own action. The things that are up to us are by nature free, unhindered, and unimpeded. But those that are not up to us are weak, servile, subject to hindrance, and not our own. Remember then that if you suppose what is naturally enslaved to be free, and what is not your own to be your own, you will be hampered, you will lament, you will be disturbed, and you will find fault with both gods and men. But if you suppose only what is your own to be your own, and what is not your own not to be your own, as it is indeed the case, no one will coerce you, no one will hinder you, no one will find fault with you, you will accuse no one, you will not do a single thing against your will, you will have no enemy, and no one will harm you, because no harm can affect you. It is not the things themselves that disturb people, but their judgments about those things. Death, for instance, is nothing terrible, or else it would have appeared so to Socrates too, but the terror lies in our judgment about death, that death is terrible. So whenever we are frustrated or disturbed or upset, let us never blame others, but only ourselves. That is, our own judgments. It is the action of an uneducated person to lay the blame for his own bad condition upon others, of one who has made a start on his education to lay the blame on himself, and of one who is fully educated to blame neither himself nor others. Where is progress then? If any of you, withdrawing himself from externals, turns to his own faculty of choice, working at it and perfecting it so as to bring it fully into harmony with nature, elevated, free, unrestrained, unhindered, faithful, self-respecting, if he has learned too that whoever desires or is averse to things outside his own power can neither be faithful nor free, but must necessarily be changed and tossed back and forth with them, must necessarily too be subject to others who can procure or prevent what he desires or wants to avoid. If, finally, when he rises in the morning, he observes and keeps to these rules, bathes and eats as a man of fidelity and honor, and thus in every matter that befalls puts his guiding principles to work, just as the runner does in the business of running, or the voice trainer in the training of voices, this is the man who is truly making progress. This is the man who has not traveled in vain. Difficulties are the things that show what men are. Henceforth, when some difficulty befalls you, remember that God, like a wrestling master, has matched you with a rough young man. For what end? That you may become an Olympic victor, and that cannot be done without sweat. No man, in my opinion, has a more advantageous difficulty on his hands than you have, if only you will use it as an athlete uses the young man he is wrestling against. But I cannot, you say, attend to all these things at once. Why, does anyone tell you that you possessed a power equal to Zeus? No. But nevertheless, he has assigned to each man a director, his own personal daimon, and committed him to his guardianship, a director whose vigilance no slumbers interrupt, and whom no false reasonings can deceive. For to what better and more careful guardian could he have committed us? So when you have shut your doors and darkened your room, remember never to say that you are alone, for you are not, but God is within, and your daimon is within, and what need have they of light to see what you are doing? To this God you also should swear such allegiance as soldiers do to Caesar, for they, in order to receive their pay, swear to put the safety of Caesar before all things. So will you not swear your oath to God, who have received so many and such great favors, or if you have sworn, will you not abide by your oath? And what must you swear? Never to disobey, never to accuse, never to find fault with anything that God has bestowed, never to do or suffer unwillingly or with a bad grace anything that is inevitable. Is this oath like the former? In the first case, men swear not to honor any other beyond Caesar, but we swear to honor our true selves above all things. How then is this to be effected? You must wish to satisfy your true self. You must wish to appear beautiful in the sight of God. You must desire to become pure in the presence of your pure self and of God. If you set these thoughts against your impressions, you will overpower them and not be swept away. But in the first place, do not allow yourself to be carried away by its intensity, but say, impression, wait for me a little. Let me see what you are and what you represent. Let me test you. And then afterwards, do not allow it to draw you on by picturing what may come next, for if you do, it will lead you to wherever it pleases, but rather you should introduce some fair and noble impression to replace it, and banish this base and sordid one. These are three areas of study in which a person who is going to be good and noble must be trained. That concerning desires and aversions, so that he may never fail to get what he desires, nor fall into that which he should avoid. That concerning the impulse to act and not to act, and in general appropriate behavior, so that he may act in an orderly manner and after due consideration and not carelessly. The third is concerned with freedom from deception and hasty judgment, and in general whatever is connected with assent. Of these, the principal and most urgent is that which has to do with the disappointment of our desires and the incurring of our aversions. It is this that introduces disturbances, tumults, misfortunes, and calamities, and causes sorrow, lamentation, and envy, and renders us envious and jealous, and thus incapable of listening to reason. The next has to do with appropriate action, for I should not be unfeeling like a statue, but should preserve my natural and acquired relations as a man who honors the gods, as a son, as a brother, as a father, as a citizen. The third falls to those who are already making progress and is concerned with the achievement of certainty in these matters already covered, so that even in dreams or drunkenness or melancholy, no untested impression may catch us off guard. Remember that you must behave in life as you do at a symposium, a drinking party, or dinner party. Something is being passed around and comes to you. Put out your hand and take your share politely. It goes by. Do not detain it. It has not yet come. Do not stretch your desire out towards it, but wait till it comes to you. Do this with regard to your children, to your wife, to public offices, to wealth, and the time will come when you are worthy to share in the symposia of the gods. On every occasion, we ought to have these thoughts at hand. Lead me, Zeus, and thou, O Destiny, to wheresoever your decrees have assigned me. I follow cheerfully, or if my will should fail, base though I be, I must follow still. So you probably noticed some sections there that may have jumped out at you, things that reminded you of the video I posted yesterday about the control of emotions, but also some things that may have surprised you. Epictetus makes a number of references to God and to man's place and duty to the divine. It's important to note that Epictetus is using a conception of the universe that's very different than the modern Judeo-Christian conception, or at least the common Judeo-Christian conception. God for Epictetus is not separate from the whole of the universe. In fact, God is within or is, in some sense, the whole of nature. The Stoics would best be characterized as pantheists or perhaps as panentheists, the distinction being between God being everything or God being within everything. And so when Epictetus is urging people to do their duty to the divine, he's also urging them to do their duty to themselves and to their communities and to their families, because all of these are intertwined in one whole. And we may talk about this some more when we talk about the Stoic view of the cosmos. There's also a reference to daimon, and I'd like to address that point that term very briefly. So the term daimon, the Greek term daimon, means something like spirit or intermediary, and daimons in the Greek conception sort of fill the same role as we might use the term angel or messenger, but daimon also means intelligence. And so depending on how you translate that, it can mean something like your own God-given reason, your reasoning power, but it could also mean something like a guardian angel or an appointed watcher or a fragment of the divine embedded in your soul. And I think the question of which translation is the correct one is all of them. I think Epictetus means to use the term in that all-encompassing fashion. I don't think for him those concepts would be distinct. I think he would see reason as God-given. I think he would see divine reason as in some sense independent from our more reflexive human thinking. And I think he would also see it as to some extent inherent in us. And we can maybe tease that out later. There is an etymological connection between the Greek term daimon and the English term demon. However, there's a lot of coloring that goes into this as Christianity takes over certain terms from the classical world. If you prefer to think of this as a guardian angel, that's fine. If you prefer to think of it as a guiding inherent reason because you're an atheist, that's fine. And if you accept the Greek use of the term in a spiritual sense, that's okay too. I think the important part is that you consider the spirit that Epictetus is offering these words in and try to use it for your own betterment. Anyway, once again, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe it, share it with others that might find it useful, and I hope to see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.